Hey guys, Joe Tunney here at Infiniti of Kirkland in Kirkland, Washington. And though we've been on our doing videos on our website for the past month or so, and on YouTube as well, this is our first venture to doing videos for eBay as well. And so for those of you around the United States, it's pleased to meet you. My name's Joe Tunney here at Infiniti of Kirkland. I've been here for 10 years, and I'll give you a little guided tour around this and all the cars that we advertise online. Give you a little clearer idea of exactly what's going on. Now, it's come to my attention, however, that in the past month I get this daily update as to how much viewer count and time spent we get on our website. We've actually had 15,000 minutes of view time in the past month, and I'd like to think that all of you have a lot better things to do with your life than spend 15,000 minutes looking at this bald white guy. But at least we have some beautiful cars to take a look at. Like this beautiful 370Z. It's a 2012 with only 6,000 miles. So a perfect, like brand new type of car. And we're going to go around this whole car and tell you every single thing you need to know to make the most informed decision you can possibly make. Let's pop the hood first. Now, I'm a big fan as a person, as a salesman, about knowing the history of a car if it's had any body work done on it. And so a lot of people don't know a lot about cars, and so what they'll do is they'll use a paint meter or something like that, but paint meters are only handy if the entire car hasn't been repainted. And so a paint meter kind of gauges the difference between how deep paint is on one part of the car versus the other. But again, if the whole car's been repainted, that's not going to do you any good. The one thing you want to do is you always want to feel the curve of the hood of the car, and the curve gives away at least a part of the story. If a car's ever been in an accident, when they repaint the car, they have to put paper all over the place, and then they paint straight down, and so you'll feel a distinctive paint line here. When a car's new at the manufacturer, they don't have an engine in it yet, or a dashboard, or a windshield. You can hit paint the car from every single possible angle, so the paint will make it all the way around that arc. It's the only way you can do it is to have a car that hasn't been completely built yet. And so when you feel it's perfectly smooth, maybe it's still been in an accident, but at least it's a 90th percentile, things are looking good. If you feel one that's got a paint line here, you're cooked. The car's been in an accident, no doubt about it. And so then you want to go inside the fender area here. Now this one has the original VIN sticker. VIN stands for vehicle identification number. And so this one ends in 3214, as does the VIN for the car. And so you know this is the original fender that originally came with this car, and it's never been monkeyed around with. And then you have all these screws that hold the fender to the chassis, this being the fender, chassis being what's underneath. And so this is always clear coat on the outside. This is always dull finish on the inside. They call it matte finish. And so whenever a manufacturer makes a car, they know all this clear coat's going to burn anyway. And so they don't even bother clear coating. Not just Nissan. Everybody's that way. And so, but as a result, there's very little paint on top of the screw itself. And so whenever a screw's been turned with a wrench, it's really, really easy to tell because there's very little paint on that wrench. paint on that screw. And so you'll see kind of chipped and chafed edges. Again, dead giveaway for a car that's been in an accident. And so you look at these screws here that hold the hood together to the brackets that secure it to the rest of the car. And these are kind of a rubberized paint that really seals that nut and screw to the actual metalwork. And again, completely unbroken, completely unblemished. And it should be that way. You're dealing with a reputable dealership. This is Infiniti of Kirkland, for crying out loud. We're going to tell you if something's going on with the car, but we're telling you this car's perfect because this car's perfect. That's exactly how we see it, and that's how you're going to see it too. Now, this car's just arrived, and I'm like completely hopelessly sprung on how good looking this car is. And so I want to do a video right this second. I don't want to wait until the car goes through the shop. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to get it out there in front of the world because I know cars like this that are sexy, hot looking, low miles, of course they're going to generate a lot of buzz. And then at the time of the filming of this, we also have a very similar one, white with only 3,000 miles. This one's brilliant silver with 6,000 miles. And so as you look, you're going to see right here, and I hope this comes up on the camera. It's quite small, but there is stuff with just a teeny tiny bit of paint loss here. Now you're not going to see that when you come take delivery of the car if you're from out of state, because we're going to airbrush and blend in this whole area here, and so you would never know it. But I'm not embarrassed to tell you, it's a low mile car, but it's still 6,000 miles of stuff, and part of that stuff is that little scuff right there, but it will be corrected. Now, these wheels are simply fantastic. TSW wheels. They're not crazy expensive or anything. I mean, I'm sure that they're a couple grand with tires at a minimum, but they look great. And custom wheels, they run the gamut. I mean, sometimes you could buy a really expensive wheel and it just doesn't work with that particular car. The lines of the wheel and the lines of the car. You may have saw one in a catalog or online or something. It looked good on the car that they were showcasing, but you put it on your car and A, it doesn't look right, and B, it doesn't fit right. The shape doesn't make sense for the wheel well of your particular application. Well, let me tell you something. These two, this car and these wheels, are an absolute match made in heaven. These wheels look absolutely seductive on this car. This car looks very, very expensive with these wheels, and it's a complete game changer. I love 370Zs. I love the way they look. I think they're very modern. I think they look more like a sexy Italian exotic sports car than just your run-of-the-mill $40,000 or thereabout Japanese sports car. This car is uniquely good looking with these Dynamite TSW wheels. They're staggered, so staggered means they're bigger on one side than the other, and of course, this being a rear-wheel drive car, they're staggered with the size bias being in the back. And they are 20-inch wheels, 235/30 ZR 20-inch tires. And so on these expensive aftermarket types of wheels, the one thing is that they tend to have a polished finish, and so you want to be extra conscientious if they've got any kind of curb rash at all. And then again, tires can be a little bit spendy, so you want to make sure there's no peels or anything like that in the sidewall. If you go around not just the front wheel, but this wheel here, it's completely blemish free. Taking a look inside, it's never been smoked in, and there's none of that kind of musty smell. Now, this is one where when you're buying a car online, there is just so much trust, because it's hard to explain when you say, has it been a non-smoker? Yes, okay. Well, does it have any dog hair? Well, we can see it's got no dog hair. Well, but does it smell weird? You know, define weird. And so that's where you're really at the mercy of the trust you have with the retailer involved, that when they say the car is fresh and original and pure, that it genuinely is fresh and original and pure. Somebody with BO, I mean, we laugh and make fun, but the truth of it is, I don't want their car. I can afford to go buy the car that's in the condition I want it to be in. I don't want to smell somebody else's BO. I don't want to smell that they left the windows rolled down one day and it rained inside the car and now it smells like mold, and every time I turn on the ventilation system, it smells terrible. I don't need that in my life, and I don't want you to have to accept that in yours either. This car is in perfect condition, especially for a car that literally just came off of the truck. And so we bought this car in California at a Nissan Infiniti. We're the same brand, factory sale in Riverside, California. And despite having 6,000 miles, maybe they were the roughest 6,000 miles a car's ever seen. In this case, this car literally just coming off the truck, has not been detailed, hasn't been serviced, hasn't been anything. You can tell right away, this car is absolutely immaculate. Let's pop the trunk. No wear of any kind. A lot of times these hatchbacks, people will throw their golf clubs in there and that sort of thing, and so the drivers and the irons will bang off of that metal finish work. You'll get the bag kind of getting squeezed in there, and you'll see a lot of scuffs here. A lot of people like to drive around with their pets in the car, and they can malign an otherwise pure car. This has nothing like that at all. Everything's perfect. Floor mats are perfect. California license plates, again, that's where the car came from. Original VIN sticker. You want to look for these up on the top here. In fact, whenever you see a VIN sticker on a car, you can walk around the car and determine if any of the panels have been replaced, because the original VIN sticker, once it's on one panel, that means it's on every panel on the whole car. Looking around the passenger side, again, everything's perfect. We just run our finger around the 20-inch aluminum wheel, and it's perfect. And then on this front one, there is, right here, I'm going to call this about a 5/8 inch by 2 to 3 millimeter little scuff right here, and nothing too terrible, but this one is going to be left alone. These polished wheels, they can be a little bit more of a project to completely refinish them, and you worry that maybe the color won't be quite right, and something that's just minuscule that no one would even care about turns into an unsightly issue where one wheel just doesn't look the same as the other wheel. And why take such a nice car and make it look unsightly in any way? Let's take a look inside. Right at home. I absolutely love 370Zs. If you saw the video on the white one that we have for 3,000 miles, you'll know I'm a huge fan of them. I love the fit and finish. I love the quality. And it's funny to me because I read a lot of reviews that say the same thing. They say, oh, there's some kind of sound or noise or who knows what, and the quality control isn't what it's supposed to be. They're absolutely out of their mind. The 370Z is one of the best built cars that there is that's made in any category, not just high performance sports car category. The seats are extremely well bolstered, everything's very well put together. The stitching is all double stitched, so it'll last a lot longer. Even the little felt inside here, it's applied in such a way that just feels like it's going to stand the test of time. Sometimes a car seems screwed together right when it's new, but it's kind of a light feel, and then sure enough, 50, 60,000 miles down the road, everything rattles. That's not the case at all on the 370Z. Everything feels heavy. Everything clicks through a nice procession of where it's supposed to be. When I turn the car on, in fact, I'll turn the car on right now. Everything is satisfying and nice. The shift action is very stiff, and it's you know, the car itself is kind of a visceral car. It's an intense car for people who like fast, intense cars. But the shift action itself is real positive. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. A lot of times shifters, they just feel like, God, the thing's going to break off in your hand if you've driven enough, especially 4 and 6 cylinder high performance sports cars. This feels very solid and well built. Steering wheel is wonderful. It's all nicely double stitched in. It's got two different kinds of textures. One that's a little bit grabbier where your hands belong, with the extra place to kind of lay your thumbs so you can get those comfortable for real high-end type of driving. We're also about to run the car through the shop, so here's our shop tag. We do this on every car. And then we invite you to call us. If you'd like an actual copy of the shop report, we can easily download it and present it to you in any format that you want. If you want it online, if you want it through your fax machine, if you just want us to tell it to you over the phone. Why that's significant, we tell you the millimeters that are remaining on the brake pads. We tell you the tread depth down to the last 32nd of an inch. We want you to be crystal clear, whether you live right here in Kirkland, Washington, or you live on the other side of the United States. For those of you outside of our market, you've never done business with us before. You don't know what we're all about. Well, we'd like you to know what we're all about. And every customer that does business with us, we want to share every single detail about what's going on. We try and be as thorough as we possibly can. And then we invite your questions and comments. If you don't like the style of a video and you say, hey, that's a little bit loose for my taste, I'd like something a little bit cleaned up for me, I'll make one just for you that's custom tailored to your expectations. If you would like a Carfax and it's not downloading the right way, I'll present it to you whether you want it emailed, scanned, faxed, any way you want it, that's what we'll do. Any questions about anything, no matter how strange it might seem to you, from do we do finance deals across the country, out of the country, do we arrange transportation, what if you're transporting to Europe or to Asia? We've done every kind of deal you can possibly imagine in my 10 years here, and I'm kind of the junior manager. Every other manager has been here since the store opened in 1997. I'll get you anything that you need. I'll present any bit of information that you need presented to you, and I want you to feel as comfortable with your decision as you can possibly feel. Again, my name is Joe Tunney. You're welcome to call me anytime. The phone number here is 425-821-1600, or of course drop me an email anytime at joet@infinitiofkirkland.com.